Theranos.
Yeah, so we've got some new blood test action going on from Multi-Omics microsampling blood test. Is this reality or is this another scam like Theranos?
Well, we'll have to see. But just FYI, so the reason why I got interested in this article was there's a really good show, miniseries called The Dropout, which has Amanda Seyfried as the actress who plays Elizabeth, and she does a phenomenal job. Um, it's great. But yeah, it's all about Theranos and it's all about that. So this article, it discusses a recent breakthrough, and this one it's by the researchers of Stanford University. They've developed a multi-omics microsampling blood test for health profiling. So the technology aims to achieve what Theranos fraudulently claimed to do but failed to accomplish. So the multi-omics microsampling test involves collecting a tiny drop of blood, around 10 microliters, from a finger prick, which is then dried and mailed to a lab for analysis. So the researchers, and it was led by Dr. Michael Snider, they've developed a method to analyze over 2,200 biomarkers from this small sample, including proteins, metabolites, lipids, RNA, and immune markers, which is really cool. Um, so they've spent 6 years apparently developing and validating this technology, ensuring that they can reproduce it, ensuring transparency and rigorous oversight, which lacked with Theranos. Um, and the approach differs from Theranos because they used unproven and unreliable methods again, and if you watch it, you'll see, while shrouding the operations in secrecy. So um, they're looking to, with this technology, they're looking to kind of take off what Theranos was trying to do, and transform healthcare from a sick care model to more of a proactive, preventative approach by empowering individuals with detailed insights into their health status more easily.
Yeah, that proactive approach is something I'm looking forward to. I always have been saying that for a while. We don't have a healthcare system; we have a sick care system
Yeah.
because we don't encourage healthy behavior. You go see your doctor anymore. He's not going to give you a healthy diet and exercise plan. He's just going to give you some pills and off you go.
Yep.
Um,
Big pharma.
so yeah, and it's unfortunate, but that's the way it is. Um, I talk to people all the time. They go to the doctor and they tell them what's wrong with them. The doctor just basically says, "Yeah, you're broken," and off you go. So, well, what can I do about these aches and pains? What can I do about this
Yeah.
problem? Rather than, okay, back to this. So, um, why are people really excited? What are some of the potential applications for microsampling blood tests?
Yeah. So again, just to reiterate, just what you and I were just talking about, preventative and precision health monitoring. So you can enable frequent longitudinal tracking of an individual's health status through regular microsampling. You can detect early deviations from a person's baseline. You can identify risk factors, predispositions for chronic diseases based on genetics, protein biomarkers. You can personalize disease prevention strategies. So the other thing is disease diagnostic and management. So you can provide comprehensive molecular characterization of disease states. You can monitor the disease progression more readily. You can identify biomarkers. You can guide personalized treatment. For drug development, you can facilitate patient enrichment strategies. You can identify potential biomarkers for drug response. You can evaluate those molecular effects. And then there's tons. There's population health studies and epidemiology. There's aging and longevity research. There's microbiome and immunology studies as well that can. So like there's just a few examples, but it could revolutionize healthcare as far as ongoing monitoring and more accessible diagnoses.
So, how accurate are they saying these tests are compared to other tests?
Yeah, so there's a couple different perspectives to look at that. So the first one is analytical accuracy. So um, in the study published, I think it was Nature Biomedical Engineering, they reported high accuracy and reproducibility in the measurement of various analytes from the microsampled blood. The researchers used advanced analytical techniques like mass spectrometry, which are known for their high sensitivity. So it is important to note that different analyte classes may have varying levels of accuracy because they have different unique characteristics and specific analytical methods used. Again, I'm no expert. This is just from me doing research. So um, um, this is just disseminating information. So the other thing for accuracy is correlation with traditional blood tests. So the researchers compared the results from their microsampling approach to those from standard venous blood draws, and they reported strong correlations between the two methods, suggesting that the microsampling test can provide comparable accuracy, which is huge. That's the key part there, right? Is how is this accurate compared to traditional blood tests? So um, there's going to be there's so much more that's needed, but we're a lot further, and it seems like this is a lot more promising than the Theranos approach.
So John's cutting out a little bit for me. For those of you guys who are watching, sorry if he's cutting out for you, but we're doing a local recording, so hopefully we'll get a good copy of his audio for the video that comes. So I'll be
Sorry, guys.
posting a better. No, so it is what it is. You're not at
Yeah,
your
up
regular
north.
spot.
No.
So and it might not be for me, and you're just cutting out for snippets at a time. So um it says they have having 600 pieces of puzzle provides much better idea of overall picture than having a handful of similarly having a lot of clinical data and bio informex specific to patients offers better insight to overall health than a few standard measures. So they're talking about putting wearables on you, tracking you throughout the day, doing multiple micro tests, I guess, to understand where you are versus say someone who's got to prick their finger and do whatever. It's pretty invasive. So I don't know. I feel like this thing is tracking you at that level. At like you're wearing wearables that are tracking everything in your blood and what's going on a minute by minute or half hour by half hour basis. That's great for people who have specific problems, but it starts to feel very intrusive.
Potentially, yeah, but this is more for people who want to take more control of their health. It seems like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I guess. So the question becomes is where does that information go and when do I get alerts? Is
Yes.
it on my phone? Is it, is it just some data center somewhere saying, "Hey, look, buddy ate something,
Yeah.
his sugar spiking or whatever," or is it going to give us practical information on what's happening in my life?
And what are they going to do with my data? Look at 23andMe. I will never do any of those gene DNA bullshit, tests, because like they have every right over all of your DNA. Like they could sell it to your insurance company, and your insurance company could deny you based on certain markers. So no, thank you. So this, the only my biggest concern is, again, and you and I agree on this, is the privacy, right?
Yeah, this is always a concern, It's not that they can sell your data, it's that they are selling the data. It's on their
Yeah,
website. They talk about it. It's just part
yeah.
of their revenue model, and most of
And
that's
you have
that's
no right to your data, by the way. There's no privacy protection over your DNA data. There's nothing in
and it
government legislation. Sorry,
and it
I've
just
rant.
becomes a question. Yeah, like what are they doing with it? Whoever they're selling it to. Are they building bioweapons? Are they curing cancer? Are they, what are they doing with your data? And we have no control over it. And it just becomes scary when we talk about what we just talked about petabyte optical drives that can pretty much store anything, and then you're getting your DNA tested that potentially could go into this thing forever, or
Yeah,
any of your data around what's going on. It just starts to get very scary when the what has happened with COVID, what's happened with designer diseases and drugs happening, that maybe it's great if you're going to go for some CRISPR treatment that you can get all this information and that becomes part of the stuff they use. But for
yeah,
everyone else, I start to worry about how much data is actually going to be collected on individuals.
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
But
hopefully, yeah, yeah,
that being said, if you're sick and this is going to help you, like specifically takes 10 microliters, a fraction of a drop of blood. Two of them are collected for sampling. So the
Yeah.
problem has always been when you're doing micro sampling at this level, it's you don't get enough blood for accuracy tests to do all the stuff. So if
Yeah.
they've solved that problem, if they've solved that problem,
Yeah. Yeah.
because again, this is what Theranos was all about, and they said they could do it, and it was
Yeah,
all
but
smoke and
the
mirrors.
key thing here, right, is the company that we're talking about is called YOLO, which is your only life once. So the interesting thing, they've licensed the multi-omics microsampling technology from Stanford University. So it's a technology that's already been developed and been proven. They're just commercializing it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it
Wh-
specifically says it's not a clinical diagnostics, it's not an FDA approved test or anything,
No.
and it's
Yeah.
we just call it a wellness test.
Yeah. Well, calling it a wellness test really helps to get around a lot of different FDA things and different things like that I've learned. So if you focus more on health and wellness as opposed to medical diagnosis, there's a lot less red tape.
Now you mentioned like YOLO. Do you know anything about this company and their involvement in this tech?
Yeah. So YOLO, it's a biotech company which was co-founded by Dr. Michael Snider, who's the lead researcher. Company's focused on commercializing this blood test. They licensed. This is all. This is what I know about them. So they licensed the technology from Stanford, um, and they've raised significant VC funding to support the commercialization. I don't know how much, but the company's commercialization offering is still obviously in early stages, and it's a long term success depending on certain success factors. So in addition to the micro sampling test, though, and I think you talked about this, YOLO, what they do is they're aiming to integrate other data sources such as wearable devices and data and lifestyle factors and all that sort of stuff. So, like we just talked about, yeah, we pretty much covered what YOLO is without saying what YOLO is. So, all of this stuff is YOLO essentially.
Yeah, and I'm just doing, putting up a couple of things that are YOLO, fast and accurate blood cell counting with YOLO version 7, a state of the art algorithm. This is back in April 17th. State of the art
Yeah,
object detection algorithm in your blood. Well, so this is pretty interesting that, this is version 7. So what we're probably talking about is version 8 or 9,
maybe.
because I
Yeah,
don't really have it here, or, this is April. So we're a year later from this
yeah,
particular article. But most of these articles are science papers and abstracts on blood cell detection. So this
yeah,
is very interesting technology. I the more we can get into what's going on, how many times have we heard they don't know what's wrong with me? Like,
yeah,
they've done MRIs, they've done this, and, when you can get to a level where you can start detecting these things and we can really understand the human body at a different level,
yeah,
it gets amazing. Um,
absolutely.
so they're developing this technology. It looks like they work with AI to track all this different stuff.
Yeah.
It counts your blood a bunch of times a day. One, when is it available to the average person, and how expensive is it going to be?
Yeah, great question. It's years away. They're saying it's long term. It's going to take long term. I'm guessing again. All this stuff. It seems like I'm just repeating myself, and I'm just throwing this number out there. But like it just seems like it's 5-10 years away. They've already been working on it for 6 years, so that's why I'm saying 5 to 10 potentially.
Well, right here it says they revealed a commercialized version that can be purchased from YOLO. While the technology used for the research purpose
Okay,
analyzes
so
many more points, the commercial version still measures 500 analytes.
yeah. Okay, so it's commercialized now. When does it get mainstream? I'm thinking mainstream 5 to 10 years.
Yeah, because here we say, I envision in the long term people will follow themselves with a smartwatch continuously. Then they'll do
Mhm.
pricking at some frequency. Maybe it's monthly. I'm not sure. So I guess it's using a camera technology too of some sort.
Yeah, probably. Maybe there's maybe there's a potential integration for AIMD, Emma's app there.
Absolutely. I think there's a bunch of different this once you start getting to the level where you're mapping what's in your blood, you can
Yeah.
start throwing all sorts of these cool tools at it.
Mhm.
Cool tools.
Tools,
The
tool,
type that
tool,
doctors
tool.
use to save your
Yeah,
life and stuff. I
yeah,
finding the impurities in the blood, being able to test out. This stuff is really interesting because as we
Yeah,
talked, like we talked about CRISPR, we talked about different designer drugs for treatments and stuff. If you can, get right down to this level and test somebody as you're, going through these programs, you can really track what's happening on a
yeah,
very micro level versus just tell us how you feel, right? Or come
yeah,
in once a month or once a week and we'll take a test.
exactly.
This really allows us to do a lot more study and get a lot more information when we're doing studies. That's where I think a lot of the value is. Now
Yeah,
we're doing a double blind study of 1,000 people taking this product. Let's throw this on them and track them and
yeah,
over the period and see what's actually happening.
absolutely.
Um, any final words on this before we jump to the next one? So you're feeling that this is true technology, that it's not a scam, and that we're going to be moving forward to this. If that's the case, do you think that we're going to see millions raised soon? Much
I
more?
think so, but I think because of Theranos, people are going to be more hesitant. So it's going to be a lot more tougher for them. But if they've got technology that's already been developed at Stanford, whereas Theranos was using unsubstantiated claims and unproven technology, I think they've got a better chance for sure.